everyone, and welcome back to my channel. You know what? I have got you something of significant interest. You know what is that? It's basically a game changer method, okay, to improve your English fluency phenomenally. Yes, you have heard it right. This method, if you practice it on daily basis with complete consciousness, okay, you are gonna improve dramatically and on a very fast pace. Yeah. So do you want to know what is that method that will actually change the game of your English, that will help you level up your English quotient also, and that will bring fluency in your English also? You want to know that? Well, let's get started. The name of the method is input output method. Yes, input output method. Now, what is input? Input is something that you put whatever you put in your brain. Okay. So now if I ask you the English fluency issue that you have, particularly in English language, do you have that same fluency issue in your native language? You will say no. When it comes to your native language, you can express yourself well in native language, whether it is anger, whether it is excitement, whether it is happiness, whether it is resentment, everything. At whatever time of day I wake you up, even in the night, if I wake you up at whatever time of the day, whatever you are feeling, you can express fluently in your native language. But when I talk about English, you do not have that comfort, you do not have that fluency in English. You know why? Because the inputs of English content is not happening, in the right manner, or basically they are not happening at all. Yes, they are not happening at all. Okay. But when it comes to your native language, your brain is constantly being exposed to the native language content, because you are continuously listening to people who are talking in your native language. Okay. And paying attention to those, uh, you know, content. But when it comes to English, your attention level is not appropriate, okay, or it's not adequate enough. Okay. So, firstly, the first thing that you have to do is you have to work on your inputs. Okay. Inputs of English content. Now, what is this input? How can you work on these inputs? Okay. Now, inputs could be through reading. So, when you read, make sure that you're feeding your brain with some English content, with some words, with some new sentence structures, new sentence patterns. Okay. Yeah. Idioms, some phrasal verbs. Yeah. So this should be your constant inputs. Okay. Even if so reading is one way, listening is the other way. If you're listening, again, pay attention, listen carefully, to the way people are expressing themselves in English. How are they expressing? What kind of sentence patterns they are using? What kind of vocabulary they are using? What kind of idiomatic expressions they are using? Yeah. And try to feed all those inputs in your brain. So whatever you're listening, whatever you're reading, okay, whatever you're writing, okay, everything. So listening, reading, basically, what you have to do, these should be your inputs in reading and listening. And when it comes to writing and speaking, this should be your output. Okay, so whatever input you get through reading, through listening to podcast, or through observing, yeah. So immediately you have to translate that into an output. So you have learned a word today, you have learned a new sentence pattern today, put it in writing, put it on WhatsApp chats, put it on WhatsApp audio notes. Okay. So when you put it on chats, you are, kind of using it in your English in the form of writing. If you're putting it on voice notes, you are using it in your English in the form of speaking. Okay. So just use it. Okay. So immediately there is an input in your brain. Okay. Through reading, through listening to podcast, anything that you have entered in your brain. Okay. Take the input, use it as an output in in writing or in speaking. Okay. So reading and listening are the most prominent ways of, grabbing those inputs and giving those inputs to your brain, and speaking and writing, the most prominent ways wherein you can use the inputs in the form of output. Okay. And what happens in between when you're feeding these inputs in your brain? So the inputs, and by the time you use it through your spoken English or written English, that's the output. So in between that, the time frame, what is happening in between the input and the output time frame is the time frame where you are feeding your brain and you are making your English brain ready. Okay. And the more and more you work on this part, making your English brain ready, you will see the difference in your fluency, because fluency is nothing. Fluency is basically the output that you are expecting, right? Fluency is the output that you're expecting. So fluency is a byproduct. Okay. So the more and more inputs you give to your brain in English, the output will follow automatically. Okay. So output. So use this input, use the reading, use the listening methods to feed that input, let the brain process, and immediately use it in the form of output. How will you use for output? By writing and speaking. Okay, so the more and more you practice this consciously, feed your brains, let your brain process, use it in the output, use it as an output by speaking and by writing. The more and more you do this, your English brain gets ready. And the day when your English brain is completely ready is the day when you can actually experience fluency in your language. Can you see my language? Okay, I am able to fluently express my thoughts. How is that possible? Because my English brain is ready. Okay, so similarly, I want you to work on your English. Okay, so make sure that you follow this input and output method. Make sure that you institutionalize this method. Make sure that you incorporate this method in the way of your living. So throughout 24/7, you can do that. You see a hoarding, okay, which has some slogan on it. Okay, use that slogan as an input. Okay, immediately use that slogan somewhere in your context, in your English context. Okay, type it, use it in your spoken English, use it in your colloquials, and that's how you can actually improve. So input output should happen constantly in your day. Okay. And trust me, initially it might be a little difficult, but if you do this constantly for 4 to 5 days, then it will, that's how you will program in yourself. Okay. That's how you will program in your brain. So then your brain will be habituated to grab the English input, process it, and you practice it immediately in the form of chats, WhatsApp chats, emails, or colloquials, that is spoken English. You keep doing this, and you see in next 2 to 3 months, you will certainly experience that confidence in English, the confidence you're expressing yourself, the confidence in your English fluency. Things will fall in place. So do try this method, okay, for 3-4 days, at least for 1 week, and comment and let me know how are you feeling about this method. Okay, what is your experience about this method? Okay, friends. So this is what I make sure that I make my students do and practice and remind them on day-to-day basis in English Life Skill Hub. Okay, so this is the method that we have practiced and we have successfully practiced it. Okay, and we have successfully received results also, results of dramatic improvements. So that is why I'm advocating this method to you. Use it and use it for a few days, and please come back and comment and let me know how are you feeling about this method. Is there any improvement? What is it that you're experiencing? There should certainly be improvements if you follow it diligently and consciously. Trust me. Okay, so that's about in today's video. Follow this method, comment, and let me know, whether you're using this method and what are the benefits that you're experiencing. And we shall catch up soon in the next video. Thank you so much. And yes, goes without saying, if you liked my content, make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell button so that you can receive notifications about all my English content. Okay, and let's keep in touch. Yeah. Thank you so much and goodbye.